Hi, this is Randy Hill to help you start your day. And on today's program, we have as our very special guest, Mr. Keith Dudley, who is a songwriter, a father, a husband, travels, and he also loves God. And we want to talk about how you balance all that so you don't want to miss today's program as we start our day. Hi, welcome back to Start Your Day, and we are so blessed to have with us Mr. Keith Dudley. Keith, welcome to Start Your Day, man.
Hey, Randy.
And
glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Man, I'm glad you're here because I'm songwriter, father, husband, friend. There's a lot of other things, but how do you balance all that, man?
Well, I mean, it's I will say this, you know, as a songwriter, singer, or whatever else, it's a joy. I mean, you just do what you do, be who you are, and it's
right.
Like what the guy said: if you do what you love to do, you'll never work a day in your life. So
you haven't worked in a while, then?
I haven't worked. Man, if I were to put in a job application somewhere right now, it would be awful.
Well, how did you get into song? I know you're a great songwriter. You sing. How'd you get into all that?
You know, from way back, and I guess it would have to start as many artists and songwriters did in church. I grew up in a pretty dysfunctional home, but they dropped me off at my church on the weekends, and there we didn't have a choice. You had to sing "I'm a Little Teapot" and "March Me Up the Hill" and all that. But I fell in love with music, and I was a baseball player, so I was headed to college on baseball scholarships and had some knee surgeries, and now that was gone. And so I kind of fell into the music side of things because I stood up and sang. People told me I could sing, and I wrote my first song, I think, when I was about 13. I played with 3 fingers on a piano, and so we...
Was it a hit?
Oh, it's huge. It was called "He Stopped Loving Her Today."
Oh, wow. I've heard that.
No, just kidding. Don't share that. George Jones will not be excited about that. But I started from there. Traveling around a little bit in a little group, and from there, friends have started here. It's just a kind of a snowball effect.
Right.
So I fell in love with music. Learning how to let music actually become a part of me.
Right.
And then unfortunately, you get caught up in the music business and everything changes. So it's
let's talk about that a second, because I know there's the business and then there's the love of music. And a lot of times when you get involved in the business, it becomes that machine. How do you keep that from happening?
It's interesting because it's my son right now as we speak is in Nashville. He's at a music camp, and he's up there with some of the big heads of the music industry, and he calls the other night and he says, "Dad," he said, the man that's the head of, I won't call the name, but anyway, he's a big guy in the industry, and he said, this man, it addresses these group of young people, and he says, "Let me tell you the words that they're using up here: catastrophic, cataclysmic, dead, over, done." And it is. The music business is in such terrible shape right now. And so my son asked me that question. He goes, "Daddy, how did we get here?" And I said, I think at some point we decided to devote all of our time to the machine instead of the music. And also the promoters are tired of the record company, and the record companies are tired of the publishing company, company. And it starts diluting itself when the market decides. It used to be if you had a great song, the market told you it's a great song. Right now, the industry says, "We'll tell you what's a great song." Then the market says, "I don't think so because I'm not going to buy it." So that's where they're caught in this thing right now, and it's a mess.
So even the people in the industry are seeing that they're in trouble.
Oh yeah. It's and as a writer and as an artist, I spend a great deal of time in Nashville, and we just keep encouraging ourselves. Hey, just do what you do. I never got in this really for the machine. I had to find a way in it.
Right.
I've had my share of bad deals with it, but I don't want to be that guy. Is what my mantra has been. I don't want to be that guy. And that guy to me was the guy that was all beat up. Oh, the industry, the record company, man, it all is man. Like, no, I write songs, I sing. I'm going to keep doing this.
Right.
And that's what I do. Get up every day and I'm a writer.
Because you know that God's put that in you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, it's like in the music business, if you're called to this and you're gifted to this, it's like everybody tells you got to go to Nashville, you got to go to LA. Well, I live in Fort Mill, South Carolina. I live right around the corner here. Now I work there a good bit, and I've been fortunate to have some great relationships and friendships in it. But I'm over this trying to tell everybody you got to fit into one little mode, because the good news is the thing is changing.
Yeah.
And I think great songs and great music will find a way to people.
Now, isn't that happening in the music, especially in the Christian music industry? You know, we kind of I grew up, you know, watching all the big groups and Christian music and going to all the concerts. There was a lot of entertainment back then.
Right.
But it seems like in the last couple of years, it's kind of shifted to it's more singing to God than it is just writing a good hit song. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, oddly enough, I was a Christian artist for a long time in the 90s and wrote some Christian songs that were number ones and got, you know, some other things that happened there. And then I got into the country. I signed a country publishing deal. I fell in love at that time with the craft of writing. I was around these brilliant songwriters at Acuff Rose and Sony, where I wrote for. People like Kenny Chesney works there, but he was a nobody back when I was there. There was a little Kenny walking around with a John Deere hat on.
Wow.
Then he went kabam,
Yeah.
exploded. But some of the most brilliant writers, and I fell in love with the craft of writing about real life. And even sometimes, even in the Christian music, you know, when you're a professional songwriter for a publishing company, they come in basically a lot of times and tell you what to write. We're looking
Right.
for songs like yada, yada, yada. And it does dilute, I think, the product at its point of inception, because if you just tell me what to write instead of letting me as a writer or letting other people as writers just get in a room and see something comes out, I think that's where the purity of writing comes from, instead of just writing for radio.
Right.
Which is a big deal. It's like you're writing for radio, but yet radio really does it. It keeps changing a little bit too, or then it gets stale and everybody's chasing this same little, it's like the dog chasing its tail right now. So instead of just writing great songs and being a great writer and letting the song come out, it's changed a lot.
You know, God's really got you on an interesting path right now, because, you know, if you told some people, God's got me now in this country, you're not serving God, and but I think that's the issue that we've had with it. We complain about all these genres of music and business, but we've just left them. You know, Jesus told us to infiltrate, go into the world, and that's what God's opened door. How have you kind of kept your, without carrying the Jesus poster, or, how have you kind of kept your testimony going amidst that?
Well, there's a couple things at play here. Number one is if you're a construction worker, you don't just build Christian houses. If you're a professional house builder, I don't just build Christian homes. I build homes.
Right.
So as a professional songwriter, I write music. That's what I came to grips with. I'm in love with Jesus, and if you get around with me, you ain't gonna be around me long finding out this guy's in love with God.
Right.
But when it comes to writing songs, sometimes I'm in love with that part of my life, and I'm loving life more than I ever have. Cause yesterday I was working on a Christian song. Today I may be writing on a pop song. Tomorrow I may be writing on a R&B song. I may be writing on a country song.
Right.
And I could not be more happy. I am in love with life because I don't have this religious box that somebody says, you got to do this to be pleasing to God. I'm like, my life should be pleasing to God.
Right.
As a songwriter.
So your life's more of a testimony than actually
in my profession.
Right.
When I show up at church and I put my guitar in my hand, I'm a worship leader. But when I show up at the office to write songs, I'm a professional writer at that point.
Right.
And that's where I think the things kind of get a little bit squirrely in people's minds.
Well, somebody watching today, they might be struggling with that.
Really?
Yeah. I'm supposed to be this Christian singer, but I've gotten this offer. What do I do? It's from the devil.
Can't imagine.
What would you say to them today?
It depends on where you are in your walk with the Lord, for sure. If you've got accountability people around you and you feel like it's like I told somebody, this guy told me one time when I started writing in the country, he said, man, you need to be careful out there. He's like, man, I was like, well, have you seen the Christian music, persons that have had some issues over the last 15, 20 years? I'll give you a better one than that. Have you seen some ministers lately that have had some? You can find whatever you want to find wherever you are.
Right.
If you're you've been in Christian, your brother and I have been down the road with Christian television, and hello, if some people knew, it was like somebody was talking about a song that we played one night at our church at the end of the service, and I'll tell you the song it was the old Shower the People You Love with Love, James Taylor song. So a lady got so offended that we played a guy that smoked pot. And I don't even know if the guy still smokes pot right now, but it was a James Taylor song. She's like, I can't believe you. And I looked at this person. I said, would you like for me to start talking to you about the individuals that I know about some of the songs you're singing in your church? I mean, I know them. I'm around them. So is that what we do? We measure each other's lives based on, you know. So what I would tell that person that's doing this, you're going to find whatever you want. It's like I've spoken at Christian universities, and I've talked to first-year students when they got to that campus. I said, you're going to find whatever you want here.
Right.
You want to find people to party at a Christian university? You can find them. You want to find people that are hungry for God here? You can find those too. Mm-hmm. You're going to find what you look for. Right. So stop worrying about all the negative. It's kind of like don't go outside then. Stay in your home or in your little
You could get hit by a car.
You could get hit, or somebody out here is going to say something to offend you. Well, stay home.
Yeah.
If you're a songwriter and somebody's giving you this opportunity, or you're an artist, then you first of all follow your heart and your passion for God. Mm-hmm. He did say somewhere in a book that I'll lead you in all truth.
Yeah.
So you follow Him, and but understand, go in there,
and be a light. Don't tell everybody you're a light. Yeah.
You know what? What do you need me here for? You said it better than I could say it. It's
well,
like
you're actually out there, so
and it's like some of the most godly people I've met in my life have been in the country music industry. I mean, guys like Ricky Skaggs. I mean, just solid men of God who love Jesus with all their heart, but they play bluegrass music.
Well, that's godly.
Thank you. You've got that Virginia blood going on in you there. And then, but I will tell you, some of the most ruthless men and women I've ever met are in the Christian music industry. I mean, one of the worst experiences I ever had, maybe we shouldn't talk about this, but anyway, one of the worst experiences I had in the music business was at a Christian record company. So
just because it says Christian, that doesn't necessarily mean, You
got to put those two words together, Christian business.
Yeah.
That where music's getting lost in there, the Christian on one side and the business on the other side. Because what got frustrating to me is one day I'd walk in there and they want to talk about my ministry, and the next day they want to talk about the business, and it just gets confusing.
Right.
When I'm in the country business, I know it's just about the business.
Right.
Write a song, make money, I'm good to go.
Right.
So it gets all jumbled up.
So what we have to say today to people that are watching is the fact that whether you're a construction worker, a songwriter, whatever you are, be a light. You don't have to tell people, and allow wherever you are to let God minister wherever you are today. We got to take a break. We'll be right back right after this. That's awesome, man.